feel like Junior. I like it. Creative.
All right. So begin with roll call. Kevin Alvarez here. Daniel Bergman. Buba. Fluin. Catherine. Fluin. Matt. Brockler. Brown. Berg. Caruso. Casal. Shen. Chow. DeBeckis. Clark. Vignato. Convoy. Conrad. Cormier. Crowley. De La Flor. De La Porta. DeBeckis again for some reason. Yep. Electricon. Fiedler. Fowler. Franconi. Gollum. Gopal. Hyam. Hines. Hughes. Malenki resigned. Johnny. Klink. Tugler. Kundu. Lavoy. Lim. Luxgaraniga. McNabo. Myers. King. Ortiz. Patel. Patron. Perez. Priscilla. Price. Puglisi. Rana. Romano. Ryan. Rip. Sargent. Sasnoff. Seeley. Shane. Solomon. Sponzo. Stern. Terpstra. Valverde. Vieira. Wang. Wozniak. Excellent. Next, we move into public comment. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for public comment? Seeing none, we would typically go into approval of the minutes. However, I did not send them out promptly because I forgot to attach them. So, I'm going to, by unanimous consent, table the minutes from August 27th and October 22nd until our following meeting. By unanimous consent. So ordered. Next, we move into an act concerning funding for Yukon Nighthawks. Are there two sponsoring senators? No one would like to sponsor. I know, tabling, it comes after a motion, but so we do not have sponsoring senators for the evening, so it's not coming up. Next, we move into an act concerning funding for Yukon Honors Council. Are there two sponsoring senators? Senator DeBeckis, and as long as their name's on the sheet, you're fine.
Okay, hi guys, we're here presenting an act concerning emergency funding for Honors Council, and then afterwards you can ask any questions of us or the representatives from Honors Council in the back. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through the funding of student initiatives, whereas the University of Connecticut's Honors Council has requested funding for their annual event, International Night. Whereas International Night contributes, bears clear merit to the student body by seeking to cultivate cultural awareness by bringing together cultural dance, music, and performance groups from the entire student body for one night and to award one student a scholarship based on their involvement in cultural groups and activities. Whereas they are requesting funding to pay for catering for this event. Whereas the cost of catering from the University Catering is $5,938. Whereas hundreds of students have attended this on-campus event in past years. Whereas the above-mentioned initiative has been funded by USG in the past. Whereas the above-mentioned initiative has a high likelihood of success and bears clear merit to the student body. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government allocate $5,938 for the above-mentioned initiative of Honors Council.
Is there a motion to enact this legislation? Motion Stevens, second by Cognado. Are there any questions regarding this legislation? Senator Berg, and then Senator Bergman.
There is no mention in the legislation why it goes through the normal process.
You don't have to go down next time. You can come to the podium. It feels really weird to just stand, not face the room. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Delaney Brett. I'm CFO of Owners Council. Last year's CFO was the one to ask for the money for our events. Unfortunately, she submitted the budget request form, but never submitted the disbursement request form, and we weren't aware of that until middle of September of this year. Therefore, we researched into what we could get for the funding as soon as possible, and our first option was for VP funding.
Next question is Senator Bergen.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody else who, Senator Friedland? Microphone.
Question, what is the date of the event?
November 13th, next Thursday.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for questions? Senator Brockwell, is there anybody from that side?
Since the event is so close, you guys are going to be able to cover the cost.
That's why we need to tell catering if we're going to be able to cover it off by tomorrow, which is why we need to brought up the meeting today. But we will be able to pay catering after the event. It doesn't need to be the evening.
Next, Chairperson Conwell, unless you have another.
Yes. Also, we have funding for, if needed be, we suggest $1,000, we can fund $1,000 of our own. That would have to be after fundraising though.
Chairperson Conwell.
I'm not sure if you guys know the answer. I'm not sure if it's George or probably answers, but like a month and a half ago, the Student Development Committee reached out and offered to co-sponsor this, and I was just wondering why we were turned down for this, the co-sponsor for that.
So at the time, it hadn't come to any decision about whether or not we were granted the funding before. At mid-September, we received an email about getting the person change, no, they didn't go, and they were told they didn't have any money on file for I-9, but that it could have been like a business or something, and that they would get back to us. And we honestly didn't know definitively that we didn't have money until like after I had a correspondence with them and tell them that we had known it would have gone into me.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for questions? Senator Bergen.
Are you guys aware that it generally takes, or is catering aware that it generally takes 6 weeks to process the request, thus that's going to take 6 weeks for them to use money, and are they okay with that?
You may yield to the chair. We're going to yield to Chairperson Johnny, our funding for share.
It generally takes 6 weeks to get money for it. I'm still in the process of reviewing it and then doing bookkeeping. It seems that process is already done. It would be like 3 weeks, or maybe even less, but 3 weeks is over. Yeah, I understand.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for questions? Seeing none, we move into debate. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of enacting an act concerning funding for UConn Honors Council, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? Bill passed. All right, next, we move into an act concerning funding for UConn field hockey. Are there two sponsoring senators for this legislation? Senators Beckes and Muscarinaga.
Hi, so now I'm here on behalf of UConn Club Field Hockey. An act concerning emergency funding for UConn Club Field Hockey. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through the funding of student initiative, Whereas the University of Connecticut's field hockey club has requested funding to pay their coach, Darren Smallhorn, whereas this bears clear merit to the student body, whereas in the past, the coach has led the team to success, including 2 national titles, whereas Coach Smallhorn has been working with UConn athletes since 2006, whereas without payment, the UConn field hockey team will not be able to retain the services of their coach, whereas they are requesting $4,000 in order to pay Darren Smallhorn. Therefore, be it resolved, the undergraduate student government allocates $4,000 to the aforementioned position.
Is there a motion to enact this legislation? Motion by Bergman, second by Convoy. Are there any questions regarding the legislation? Seeing none, we move into debate. Is there any debate regarding this legislation? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of enacting an act concerning funding for UConn field hockey, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? 2 abstentions. Clearly passes. Next, we move into reports of the executive, and it's the report of the president. The president Price is not here, so we're going to push that off the table, whatever, and we're going to go straight to report of the vice president.
Hello, everyone. So I first want to start off by saying thank you for all those who came out to Safety Begins with us. We had a lot of great conversations, and everyone who was there, I think, got a lot out of it. After having a debrief with Dean of Students Ellie Doherty, who came to see us at exec, we'll be looking into possibly doing it something similar again for the spring semester, but sort of trying to reach out more to groups and individuals to get more students and other people involved in it, possibly looking at co-sponsoring things. But the event overall went really well. And another thing is that we're looking to do a possibly similar type of conversation about other issues, just because the way the event is held is very informal and like students can ask questions and talk, and so that went really well. So that could be duplicated with practically any other issues going on campus. We can get like guidance services, like anybody can come really and sort of do that. The next thing is we have been working on office plans. Some of you might have seen the new office plan that was taped up to the board. We asked for feedback. Right now we're currently working with the student union as well as looking into the people who we got furniture from to see how we can rearrange that. So hopefully the office will be changing sometime over break. Not sure yet. We're still in the process of doing that. The next thing is I will be working on creating an alumni sort of base, just getting in touch with some of the past presidents, members, possibly building some sort of event just so we can keep in contact, and I'm sure they have a lot of insights that they could teach us. So if anybody's super interested in something like that, feel free to contact me. I'll be working on that. The next thing is that a lot of you probably follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If not, go do it right now. Our PR director, Emma, has been really awesome, and those of you who do follow, you'll see that she will post pictures from events, different headlines all the time. So if all of you can go follow her, and also if all of you, I'm going to give you her phone number, because if you're ever in a USG event, please send her those pictures because she can't be at everything. So like even if it's like a meeting or anything
the Vice President? Seeing none, we move into report of the Comptroller. Comptroller Ron.
Hi guys, so a couple things. Budget decisions are on their way. I went to the President Advisory Committee meeting last Thursday, which was very, very, very good. We went over a couple things in regards to the UNC scandal that's going on. If anyone wants information about what's happening for that, you can talk to me. Basically, there was students, students involved in taking like easy independent study courses and things of that nature to buffer their GPA and buffer their credits and stuff. So, the outcome of that initial meeting was just that, athletics at UConn is trying to maintain a level of transparency in regards to how they treat their athletes and how the athletes, conduct themselves on campus itself. So, we have over 700 athletes on the campus, only 17 of them are in independent study courses. So, we have a relatively low number for that, and a lot of them are doing great work and, going to classes and stuff. We well with things of that nature as well. So, I hope to be able to continue to go to those meetings and to be able to give student input and go over things that maybe club sports or regular students on campus might have concerns with athletics. Maybe trying to express those opinions, see how they respond to those in a more relaxed setting. That was that meeting. Second meeting that I had last Friday was with the Student Advisory Committee that I spoke about previously. So it was kind of just an introductory meeting. So run by David Polke, he's from the division of Vice President, something. Division, Student Affairs, he's with Student Affairs. And, there's administrators, there's athletic director, Sandro's on there, and then there's about 3 or 4 undergraduate students, a couple of grad students as well. So there's representation across the board, and we're looking at about $40 million in fees in revenue that the university brings in that is reviewed by the committee. So what we review is the student activity fee, which includes 12 different facets, as well as the general university fee, which is the GUF fee. So if anyone's interested in the exact breakdown of what parts make up the GUF fee and what parts make up the student activity fee, you can talk to me about that afterwards. Later on, we'll get to an act concerning law 2014 budget, just a couple updates to try and increase our transparency as well. And then the last thing that a lot of us should probably be excited about is that we are going to be going to Cosville again this year, February 28th to March 3rd, I believe. So we are going to be accepting applications for that starting now. I will send Kevin the application so that he can send it out to our listserv later tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow. So, that has everything written out in it. It's just like an application page, and then you can get a recommendation from someone. So that is open to all senators, all executive members as well. So we're going to be sending 8 people there, and we have 60 open. So that's what I have.
Are there any questions for the Comptroller? Seeing none, we move into report of the Chief of Staff. I don't believe the Chief of Staff is here. So we're going to move into report of the Judiciary. Chief Justice Woodland.
Hey guys, I just have a really quick report tonight. We finally got in contact with Christine Wilson. She's the Director of Student Activities. I'm meeting with her on November 18th, which is 2 weeks from now. It's on Tuesday. In that meeting, I'm just going to propose a partnership with Judiciary, potentially see if they're open to having justices sit on the hearing board for student organizations. So once we have that meeting, I'll be able to keep you guys up to date and let you know what's happening with that.
Are there any questions for the Chief Justice? Seeing none, we move into report of the legislature. That's me. How's everyone doing? Dan Malloy won yesterday, so that was fun. One person had it. Okay. Oh yeah, that's not something we clap about. I laid out the rules pretty clearly at the beginning of the year. Just to start off, the Senate leadership has laid out all the administrative roles that we have more clearly, and so we spread them out across the 3 of us, and so that's going forward quite nicely. And then last last week I attended the Promotion and Outreach Committee meeting, which Connor's been attending, but just so I could see a little better what they're doing. They're working on the town halls that I discussed earlier. They're doing a pilot program with that, but I'm sure Claire will mention that in her own report. For tomorrow, I will be attending the Student Welfare Committee meeting, which is every month. And I know last time, or one of the first times, I brought Steph Sponzo. If there's any other newer member of the Senate that is interested in attending with me, please let me know because I can bring you along. And it's a really good opportunity, again, to see how to work with administrators and how to work with faculty, which is very important. I'm going to be continuing to reach out to a lot of you, or all of you if I can, set up one-on-ones, but there's a lot of you, so forgive me if I don't get to you promptly. And other than that, last week was rather slow for Senate leadership, but I would recommend to everyone to attend the fall banquet because it is really, really fun and a very great bonding experience for everybody. And I think that's it. Boring report this week, I know. Can't be exciting every week. Oh, actually, Connor apparently is very, very good at sharing these meetings. He gave him a trial by fire last Senate. But just wanted to mention how he has been doing an excellent, phenomenal job. He represented the Senate at ESEC again because I was not able to be here. I was in Rhode Island, but just wanted to mention that. So that's all.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, we will move into committee reports, academic affairs.
Good evening, everyone. All right, so student admin system clearly been updated as that's been coming on the past few weeks. But there will be another update on the 15th. Please, if you still have any problems with student admin, please let them know. He's actually finalizing the report with Shomo tomorrow and will be submitted to the committee for a review. And eventually, before Thanksgiving break, we're going to be meeting with the CIO about it, and we're going to see what we're Chief Information Officer, and we're going to be working on kind of seeing like what else we can work on to fix the admin system. There's no updates to the library right now. We're just waiting on, I guess, a green light for the renovations to expand 24/7 study space. As for textbooks, open source textbooks, we met with the Vice Provost of Academic Affairs, Tyler Reeves. There is a response to that legislation that Senator Byrd had put out about forming a committee to explore open source textbooks. We will be meeting with her again later on this month to see how we're going to pull people together through that committee. And there will be representatives from the USG Senate Meeting committee that is expected to be Senator Byrd and myself. And as for, and also just in addition, the biggest thing that we're going to be working on for that committee is to bring in a representative from the University of Minnesota. They have a really big pilot program that makes use of open source textbooks, and we're going to see how they're doing and how they set up the program itself and how the school is responding. And another textbook-related issue, the co-op deadline that President Price had brought up, I believe 2 weeks ago, about professors turning in their textbook requirement at a certain date so that their students can get more money when they sell back. When they sell back their books to the buyback program at the co-op. The Academic Affairs Committee will be having an awareness drive for that. We are going to be approaching professors and kind of reminding them, or maybe even informing them about this deadline. Only 13% of professors turned in their book requirements last year, and we're trying to, of course, increase that number for next year so that we can all get more money back, get more money when we sell our books back to the co-op. Yeah, that is all for me tonight. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Chairperson Lynn? Seeing none, we move into report of the External Affairs Committee. Chairperson Kugler.
Okay, the first thing is that we met with former Lieutenant Governor candidate Heather Summers last Tuesday. I'd give you more details on what she said, but I guess it really doesn't matter. But you're close. Tabling for the ballot initiative went well. You may have seen us out in Fairfield Way, but you probably you may have seen that in the Daily Campus today. Our big event that we have coming up is our community movie night. It's going to be next Friday, November 14th, at 6:30 in ITE room C80. We'd love to have as many people there from USG as possible. And in the coming week, you'll see advertising from us on that. We'll be also advertising in the schools and around the community and the campus.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Sorry. Christina DeVecchis. Kind of no, but just come to the microphone and make it kind of sound like a question.
Oh, sure.
Let your friends know.
Sure, let your friends know about the movie night. That's a good point, Christina.
Alexandra Hughes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good point.
Yeah, we're going to go back into his report.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. We're going to be watching Frozen. Sing-along version. Like Hurricane's here. Christina. We're going to be watching a sing-along version of Frozen. So that's something that your friends are probably going to enjoy, I think. I've never seen the movie, but from what I hear, it's good. So we're going to be watching the sing-along version, and we're hopefully going to have somebody from the theater department dressed up as one of the characters. So it'll be a fun event. So let your friends know about that.
are there any questions for the chairperson? Senator Cormier. See, he goes up to the microphone. Hard.
In regards to the Frozen movie, one of my colleagues has advised me to ask you, would you like to build snow?
I'm guessing that's a joke from the movie, but
Oh, is there anybody else who would have a question for the chairperson? Seeing none. That was a classic report. I'll let that one go. All right, next we move into report of the funding board chairperson, Johnny.
Not too much to report this week. Budget emails are being sent out, and the other thing that we've been working on is just cracking down on groups that are charging money and like discrepancies like that. But other than that, nothing to report.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Seeing none, we move into report of the Student Development Committee. Chairperson Campbell.
Michelle November, my committee said, instead of USB drives, we have USG drives. So really anything you're thinking of, like let us know. We have a couple different ideas, right? Yeah. So that's another thing. Also, we had our mobile bar, which we invited. It's called Put the Us in USG. It went really well. We're going to do more in the early spring, and I think we need to invite more and more people to them because we had about 7 or 8 cultural center reps come, and they were really excited about it. I don't know if it's just the burrito in their mouth or like festive, trying to rally loving USG faces, but student development and funding for it really got to interact, and I think it will only get better. So we're going to do more of those. Maybe Sunday or our next time. Also, my student development will not be meeting this upcoming Monday. We will be attending the Cultural Center Town Hall and or the focus group for those in my committee who signed up. Also, Danielle Bergman is working on the poster project. We have an instant helping her out. She's going to start outreaching upstairs to get more feedback from different groups who could be helping. So that is actually all I have now.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Seeing none, we move into report of Student Services Committee. Chairperson Hahn.
Okay, I was just laughing about her about how she said she was going to be taking that. Okay. Student services. I don't have a whole lot to report to you on about the committee itself, but I do for EOC. Just a reminder, Elections Oversight Committee is EOC, and we are currently in the process of enhancing the election policies. So if you're interested in what we're talking about, I'm going to give you a few brief bullet points now. I've been asking for this all semester for your feedback, and I have gotten one thing from one person, really. So if you have any feedback, I need to know now. Otherwise, it's hard for me to incorporate that in the policies if I don't know. So I want to know your thoughts about, we're also focusing on this next week, but I want to include this before we caucus. Does that make sense? Okay. So thoughts on a roster for campaigns. So each campaign would need a campaign roster. And those people on that roster would be able to actively campaign. So your thoughts on that. Your thoughts on having cases go through EOC first versus the judiciary, or vice versa, or a combination of both. And finances. So right now the committee is thinking about giving each candidate up to $200 so that no one is penalized if they don't have the money to run a campaign, but we would give them more than $200, and there would be a cap of no more than $500 for total spending on a campaign. So those are the big ones that I think people will have a lot of opinions about. Everything else is just clearing up vague clauses. So if you have any thoughts on those things that I just said, please email eoc@usg.uconn.edu before next Tuesday, so that we can get those, we can collect your thoughts and take those into consideration before we caucus next Wednesday.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Seeing none, we're going to move into the report of the president now. If she's ready, we can always wait. President Price.
Hi everyone. So first off, I apologize for being late. I just had a great dinner with George Takai, and actually was talking to him. It was really great. There are a lot of kind of alumni there, staff that had co-sponsored it with the Asian American Cultural Center. So it was a great event to put on. I just have a quick report to tell you all, seeing as I'm out of line. I missed my first space. Washington, the president of the Yukon Foundation, who is absolutely phenomenal. He has a great vision for building up Yukon's endowment, has already fundraised millions, and has great plans, and is kind of changing the whole way that we do fundraising. Did you know that for most people that could give or have given $100,000, most aren't even visited by anyone from the foundation, so we're changing that around completely. We hosted, in conjunction with Ellie, our Dean of Students, and Michael Gilbert, the Safety Begins With Us event, which was a roundtable discussion focused on sexual assault prevention. And I got nothing but great feedback from the administration. And I think that this is a great model to use for other issues. So if you find something particularly of concern to students, we can work with getting administrators in the same room as students and sitting down and just talking about it for an hour. I also met, I'm sure Tim touched on this, with Sally Reed, and look forward to working not only with the co-op about the deadline for textbooks to make sure students get more money back on their textbooks, but also with developing open source textbooks. And I'm also meeting with Cindy Costanzo and Michael Gilbert. Cindy Costanzo is the head of recreation, and they have officially given me the okay to form a student committee, a student advisory committee for the gym, for the new gym, which is huge because the only other thing that remotely resembles this on campus is Subol. So this committee would take field trips. They would go and see UMass's gym, other recreation centers. Then they would gather, they would review the proposal made by the master planning committee, Bev Wood, and then offer feedback on that to the board of trustees essentially. So this is a huge committee. There are a few other logistics to feed out and to work out, and then I'm hoping to send it out to every single undergraduate student on campus, which also we've never done before. Finally, my office hours are Monday and Wednesday mornings. I'm in the office from about 10 to noon. So if you ever want to stop in and just say hi, or if you have a concern, feel free to stop in then. And if neither of those times work, feel free to shoot me an email any other time. Before and after Senate are good times. I'm usually in the office. And Fridays, if I don't have University Senate, it's best, then I'm free. So I just wanted to let you all know that I'm readily available. I have met with a few senators, met with Steph today, as you are, to review legislation. So I'm definitely more than willing to accommodate people, no matter how busy I might be. I think your opinions they're very valuable to me. And that's all.
Are there any questions for the president? None.
Wait.
Oh, I can't see her, so, yes. Chairman Conley.
Do you have Josh Newton's email?
I do. I just emailed him today, so yeah. He's very nice, so I can work with, I know he hasn't responded, but I can work with that.
Are there any other questions for the president? Seeing none, we could either move into a report of the chief of staff if he has a report, or if he does not have one, we can just go move on. No?
I don't know.
You're good. Okay. Next, we move into new business. An act concerning the budget of the undergraduate student government. Sorry about the delay.
All right, did anyone say anything about, yeah.
Yeah. Minder banquet, November 15th.
Yeah. Okay. An act concerning fall 2014 budget of the undergraduate student government. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with passing a budget each semester under its constitution. Whereas the undergraduate student government has the ability to update or amend the budget at a later date. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government adopts the updated proposed budget as presented by Councilor Ryan. So, there's two things being changed. We're moving from USG General, we're pulling out 35,000 and putting that as a different line item, so I highlighted it. So USG General was originally 218,000. Instead, we're pulling out 35,000, putting that towards student organizational center. So that goes towards supplies and furnishings done by the SOC, which includes things like the paper and pencils that they order specifically used for student organizations. And that also includes the funds for the wages of these student workers, because they're actually like staff there. So that's just for us to increase our transparency and to be able to show, because USG General kind of sounds ambiguous, so that kind of breaks down a little bit more for you to know that. The other thing we just changed was we took 2,500 from exec's budget and moved it into ACOFAIR so that they can complete one of their initiatives. So, yeah, that's all. 2,500.
Is there a motion to enact this legislation? Motion by McNabo, second by Patrone. Are there any questions regarding this legislation? Senator Brocklove and Fiedler and Chief Staff Park.
What exactly is
USG General is, it has our, good question, right? It has our student, originally, it included our student fees, or not our student fees, our wages. It includes the wages, well now it will include the wages for our permanent staff, so that includes Nikki, John, and Daria. So half their entire paycheck for their entire, like half of their year itself is, paid within this budget. So that's 3 people, plus their wages, plus their benefits, and then plus all the other administrative things that we get in the office in terms of like the coffee, those little things. While we are periodically ordering them, they do add up over time. And then so it's like general office use things, general administrative things that are coming out of there, whether it was like having to get something redone in the office or getting things ordered, or how we have the Halloween decorations and stuff. Those things are also included in there. I know I'm kind of rambling on in general about what it is, but I can get you the exact breakdown if you do want. That's available to us as well if anyone wants that. So yeah, mostly that number breaks down into the wages and benefits that our permanent staff gets.
All right, Senator Fiedler.
I'm just looking at the spreadsheet behind you, and I noticed that though we didn't change any of the total expenses, we moved around some tons of money from different committees. I was wondering what the discrepancy in expenses was between the original post and the final.
Oh, is it? I might have just moved. So then that was just me messing up my Excel. That's me messing up my vision. I can figure it out. So which one is it? It's that. First control is D, and D along with that. Yeah. I'm going to say it. Oh, I put 13. My fault. That's supposed to be 12,800. That's what. There we go.
All right, next, Chief of Staff Park.
I think it's, I noticed that the total was off, and you said you were moving money from exec to ACOFAIR, but exec is still at 150.
That's what you just pressed control.
Yeah, I know that.
So, yeah, let's just change that right now. If you, on the right side, go over here, that one, yeah, that you're looking at, Elijah, put exec at 1,475. 147,500. And then put ACOFAIR at 12,000. the new budget that we are going to be approving.
All right, next for questions is Senator Cormier.
You mentioned an initiative by academic affairs department. Was it 25,000?
2,500.
2,500. What is this initiative?
I can yield that to the academic affairs chair.
Okay, so traditionally, the Academic Affairs Committee has this thing called Care Packages Day, when we give out giveaways at the library before the week of finals. I make a pledge to everyone that this year's Care Packages program is going to be much bigger than the past years, and I need extra funding for that.
Thank you. Next on the list for questions is President Price. All right, well, there you go. All right. Tim, you can sit down.
No, Kaylee's not.
Well, Kaylee is not on the questions list right now, so.
Okay, I think it would be helpful to everyone. Could you just explain how you got to the 35,000 and maybe a slight breakdown of that?
25,000 towards student wages and then 10,000 towards office furnishings and supplies.
Next is Chairperson Hine.
Yeah.
Will you please yield the floor to someone?
You can ask a question and then he can yield the floor, or he can't.
Okay. My question is, how exactly are the care packages changing? Like, why? I know that they're going to be bigger, but why? Like, is it quantity or?
I knew.
It's both. It's quantity and quality. Plus we're also having a hot chocolate bar afterwards after you pick up the packages.
So that's catering.
Yes, I'll also be giving our announcement regarding this initiative.
All right. So, is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for questions? All right. Seeing, are you saying? No. All right. Seeing none, we're going to move into debate. Also, he's going to still be showing stuff so that you can all see a breakdown more clearly. Is there anybody who would like to be on the list for debate? Would anybody like to be recognized for debate? All right. Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of enacting an act concerning the budget of the undergraduate student government, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? Clearly passed. Yay, you have a vote. We discussed this. I'm not going to think we talked about. Come on. Just kidding. It's okay. Okay. All right. Next, we move into discussion. And normally we have question of the week. Would Chairperson Johnny like to be recognized for question of the week? Okay. She is going to just yield that. You can. Okay. So we're going into question of the week. Let's she split up. You look like you have to use the ballot. Are you okay there?
I don't have anything for question of the week, but we the next question of the week onwards. So once the next question of the week is decided, we will put it on the Facebook page and put your comments on there. And if anyone has any other ideas as to how to formalize it without making it too tedious, just come up to me or Tim and let us know.
And just to clarify what you're saying, but it might be confusing, students won't be putting their comments on there. We will go out and still be gathering them from the student body, but we will individually post it on there.
Yeah. And so if somebody already has commented as to a response that, you know, it's a general response that many people are getting, you don't have to comment on it yet.
Would anybody else like to discuss that, I guess? Yes, Senator Cormier and then Senator Byrd.
As someone who doesn't use Facebook at all, I would suggest just a very simple method of when we're gathering answers, just do so with a simple paper clipboard and pencil. We have them for us, you know, because the root beer records where we'll walk around.
Okay, well, we can take that into consideration. The only thing is that, you know, you're required to have an X number of responses per one of your office hours, and that's a lot of senators and a lot of responses on paper. But we'll definitely take into consideration the fact that not everyone is Facebook. Thank you.
Next is Senator Byrd.
The private. Yeah, no, the private Facebook.
Is there anybody else who would like to discuss this matter? Seeing none, we move into the presentation of survey findings, which President Price, I believe, but instead Vice President Lamont will be presenting.
Okay, so this was a survey that was sent to the entire student body, including, it was part of a survey that Triad sent out, so it included like StudentBot, WHUS Radio, all these other organizations. So I'll be presenting on, obviously, our portion of the survey. So just to give you a little bit of background information, we have all the information here, and afterwards, if you want to know a little bit more information about anything, I'm going to leave a copy of this in the USG office. And I've looked at this pretty extensively, so I know a lot about what's in here. So if any of you wanted me to walk you through it or point out things that I've noticed, let me know. So the survey, about 2,610 students filled out, 930 filled out the student questions. So this is the first question that we had on there is, if you had an idea or frustration about something at UConn, how would you most likely reach out to USG? So you can see clearly that people really, if they have an issue or something, they want to email a senator, a USG senator. So that's a big way they will reach out to you. So it's really important that you are responsive to those emails and are checking them. And then also another big response is fill out feedback form on USG website. And we did not have this like a week ago, but as soon as we looked into the survey, there's actually, if you go onto the USG website, we have a virtual suggestion box. And I know that the USG Facebook group just shared it recently, so just if you can let people know that it's out there. And we've actually gotten some responses through that as well. Anything else that stands out on here is yep, so yeah, those are the main things that I would like to point out. Okay, and then another thing that I found just personally interesting was that in part of other, we had a pretty low number of negative responses that I recall, which is a good sign that we're doing our job. So just keep that up. Question 35 was, how would you prefer USG to reach out to you? So as you can see, social media definitely takes the lead on this one. So this is once again reiterating that point that we need to be posting things that we're we're doing, anything that we're working on project on social media, because this seems to be the best way to reach out to the student body and the way that they prefer. The other top one on there is resident health programs, open forum, so different things like that. Yeah, and just I wanted to point out that under other, we did have a few that would like emails personally sent out from us. Like, so we're going to be trying to do that possibly with some really big things. We don't want to like spam people with emails, but possibly like I don't know if they're mentioned this with the rec center, opening up that committee to the entire student body, opening whoever wants to sit on that. So that would be one way where we would email people. All right, and then question 36 was, what are the top 3 issues you want USG to work on this year? So the way this is going to go is it's going to go issue by issue, and there's a graph. So people literally just wrote things in, so we worked really hard on getting all these answers in and putting them into categories, just because a lot of them were, you know, however someone words something, we tried to fit it into certain categories. So this might be a little bit hard to see, but if you could see, okay, I have to like, this is really bad on my phone, but if you can see, people are really concerned about tuition and cost of education, parking is really high up there. Another one is like dining halls, food, safety, sexual assault prevention. Those are some of the top ones that stick out. And I just want to remind everyone that these are the top sort of categories from everything, because there's a lot of things that were here that were like, oh, nothing, or like just jokes or something, you know, there's like different answers. So even the ones that have the low numbers are actually ones that were reoccurring a lot in this data. Okay, so this is, yeah, the second issue, so they're basically ranking them in order. Once again, you see that some of the highest ones are the similar ones we've seen. Buses, transportation, a little bit higher, this one, dining, food. Funding and budget, that goes into us funding student groups, as well as, yeah, pretty much our own budget and things like that. Once again, we love the students out there. Student living spaces and environmental sustainability were ones that surprised me personally. That wasn't even a category. Like, I originally came up with some categories that related to the committees that we have, and then we had to create categories for environmental sustainability, because that seemed that was an issue that students were really concerned about, as well as the one with student living spaces. So those were things like bathrooms, or like residence halls, or like issues with those sort of things. And if you guys have later, you can ask questions about like the different categories. I can give you examples of what things were. Sorry. So the third issue, once again, you can see kind of the same things are at the top. The buses, transportation, dining, food, costs, and then once again, student living spaces, environment, and sustainability. This is just, I combined all of the numbers that we had just so you could see which ones are the top ones. So this is not necessarily in order of what issue students think we should take on first or whatever, but just what students are concerned about. And then this is question number 37, which was what is your favorite UConn tradition? So once again, this is something that people just wrote in the answers for. So you can see that there's a lot for foosball, because I think a lot of people can say that that's a sort of a tradition. We had a lot of responses about sports and basketball and things like that. A lot of them were like winning basketball things. I don't necessarily know if that's a tradition. That would be great if it is. We make it one. But so there's things like that. I mean, honestly, some of them don't relate necessarily to us, but we can see maybe we could possibly either co-sponsor with other organizations or what we want to do with this. This one, yep, you can go. This is specifically pertaining to guard dogs, so I'll just briefly go over this one. This is more Eliza from your group to go on, but we just asked on average what it leads people out, so we show us what a program like guard dogs should run. What time. And then the other one is how people get around. So as you can see, those are up on the graph. And under other, the biggest category that I found under other was kind of brief overview, and I will be sending out just that PowerPoint really quickly to all of you so you can like take a look at it issue by issue. And like I said, if you want to look at the raw answers and stuff, they're all in here. There's some pretty interesting things in here, so if you want to just skip and get an idea, I suggest you do that. It'll be in the office, and once again, like I said, if you have questions. For me, I've looked at this pretty in depth, so just write down some things. Are there any questions about different categories, anything else?
Would anybody like to discuss this? Questions, comments?
Actually, and then I'll say one more thing. I think this, I think we have a pretty good sample of the different things that students care about. So I think right now, it's sort of, we have the information, so now it's in our hands, it's up to the committees and up to you personally as senators. You see, the best way to reach out to people is this. The issues that they care about most are these issues. So I think it would be really great if we as an organization, as USG, really respond, because oftentimes with organizations will do surveys and then nothing sort of will come about it. So I think it's really important that we actually look into this and start talking about these things in our groups and committees, as individuals or anything. So.
Any questions, comments? Senator Tomato, if you could. Give it a lady, I'll be over the camera.
I have looked at the survey before in the USG office, but is it going to be made available online or anywhere so that senators can sort of refer to it as far as what stuff they want to get done throughout the course of the academic year?
Yeah, so I think it would be best if that PowerPoint that I just had where I sort of combined all the answers and stuff into the graph, I will email that to all of Senate tonight. And then we can make copies of this. I mean, this is a lot of information, but we have 2 copies of this, so they will be in the office like at all times so you can look through that. I'm just wary about emailing you like a lot of pages and stuff, you know what I mean? But the combined version I'll definitely email out to all of you guys. Yes.
Also, I'm going to email this to the administration, to a few members that have actually already asked about this, so that they kind of know the issues once we address.
And then just another point, that part that you just suggested, this information will scan into the iDrive so we can have it in case we need to get like wrinkles or froze or whatever in the office. So this will be on there as well. Yeah.
Is there anybody else?
Were you guys surprised by any of the things you saw? I'm just curious, because I know I was, because I was like looking through this.
Energy and sustainability, so Conor McIndoe.
All right.
That is actually private.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right, next we move to the second presentation of survey findings, which is Senator Myers. Always fashionista. Fashionista. Sorry, there's a slight delay. The email was messed up, so if you want to. Okay, because we're in discussion, I'm going to let her ask a question because there is this just general waiting period.
Has anybody taken bio from 3010? Is it that much worse than 2000?
So Claire has taken every class. That sounds ridiculous and way too smart for any of us. Problem solving. Is there anybody during the meantime that would like to be recognized for discussion? Senator Cognado. He would like to be recognized for discussion, so please, everyone, be quiet in the meantime.
I've never heard someone bring up the topic for discussion before, so I apologize if I'm reading this incorrectly. But we had had previous discussions at one of the first caucuses. We took a survey on the internal sort of feelings regarding executive compensation, and we have yet to receive any findings on those surveys, and that we would be taking action on that issue by the end of the semester, which is approaching rather quickly. I was wondering if we could have an update from whoever is in charge of that, or what the status is.
I would let Senator Bravo go.
So I did collect the findings, and I sent them to Kevin, but I don't know if he ever got them, whatever. But I can tell you, prepare for a long caucus next week.
Which means I think we're going to be discussing them next part. All right, because we have descended into overall chaos, what is your, is it on that? Okay, well then we're going to go to John's thing and then I'll let you go after for discussion. Sorry. Now, returning to normal business.
Thank you for bearing with that for a little bit. Here we're going to present the Barber Beer Survey results, which is something I hope that you remember. I unfortunately could not attend it. I was at a soccer game, but if you remember, we gave root beer floats out to students in exchange for survey results. So, and here are the findings. I calculated them all last week, and I'm just going to send it to you. Okay, so the first question was, for the survey, were you aware that you kind of matched student government? So 90% approximately answered yes, that they knew that USG existed, while 10% answered no, 22 votes. Just to let you know, I calculated 213 surveys total, which is a small sample, but it averages close to about 1 a minute, considering it's a 3-hour event, so that's not bad at all, in my opinion. I don't know how accurate the no's are. These could just be a bunch of jokesters who did not actually think that we had a student government, or those results tough to tell. But I think that they're mostly accurate. It's like a 95% confidence interval, so the good stats. So if there's any, I think it's pretty straightforward. It speaks for itself. I don't really have a graph for that because it speaks for itself. So, all right, so the second question we asked was evaluate USG's general performance on a 1 to 10 scale, with 10 being extremely satisfied. So, pretty good results. I feel a solid 7 out of 10 for the average, median, and the mode. So most people said 7 out of 10 for us. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I mean, I would like it ideally to be higher, but for just an intro for the semester survey, I think it's pretty good result. An animation, yeah. It's good enough. Okay. So how long did you hear about the USG events and efforts? So this is kind of alarming to me a little bit because if you look at the green and the purple, it shows that nearly half of the people who entered the survey seldom or never heard of our events. Bad news. So on the bright side, half of them either very often heard of it or heard of us often. This doesn't take into account how often they went to said events, but the fact that they're hearing about them, at least 100 plus students hearing about our events and the survey is silver lining to them.
So, what is your view of USG's primary role on this campus? Overwhelmingly, students answered A for this one, which is advocating for the students. So it's 56.3%. Whereas secondary concerns were funding for student groups and planning events on campus. There were a few other concerns like awareness, none of the above, and like multiple answers. So it really is a clear indication that we should be advocating for student groups above all else, according to the student management system. What is the area in which the most needs most improvement besides technology? Alright, I'll try to remember what this one was.
This is going 20 minutes.
Unfortunately, this really doesn't give us much of an indication of which one we should jump on first, but we need to jump on all of these because they're pretty evenly distributed. If you really want to get nitty-gritty about it, the funding system, students in this survey felt like it was in need of most improvement. So, oh, and okay, so notable program suggestions. This was an open-ended question we put in the bottom of the survey, talking about the programs that students maybe had in mind for a programs director. Tom, I don't know if you know if we have a programs director, but we do like the New York Times Leadership Program. We also do Guard Dogs. These are currently 2 flagship USG programs, and we wanted to know if students wanted us to expand on that. So the Economist was answered a few times. Like Economist, you need a subscription for, kind of like the New York Times you need a subscription for. And I think that would be a great idea, to be honest. The Economist encourages student reading. I think that would be a beneficial program to put in. Furthermore, the New Yorker, again, following on the Economist leadership program, students really seem to appreciate the New York Times leadership program and furthering other programs. Another student, a few students actually said, funding entrepreneurships for students. So I don't really know exactly what kind of program we can implement for this. It's just an interesting idea that I saw on the survey of students who maybe want to get together and form like an entrepreneurial business and maybe USG funding for that. Maybe there's a mini program, like an offshoot funding board that could implement those things. I don't know, that's something for the future. Partner with nearby colleges was another thing that students just thought of as an idea, whether or not to be a program or not. Like creating a network between maybe the other state universities, Eastern, Southern, whatever, even the privates like Yale. Okay, and finally, State Pride and Sports Service. We have Guard Dogs already, as I've mentioned. I'm not exactly. Escort service meaning like a. How would you think of it when you think of escort service? Well, you would think of as somebody to escort somebody from like the library, for example, the safe way. You know what I mean? Maybe you've been a bad choice of words. And next slide, please. And finally, I'd like to thank all senators for participating in the event, for signing up for your time. If you could make it, your contribution was very much valued. We as a committee, the P&O committee, we know how we're going to do this differently next time. But if you have any other input, please let me or anyone else in the promotions and outreach know. And the survey is not over. I want to ask all the senators and others, executive members, judiciary, who were there to tell me, did you talk to a constituent while you were there? One of your constituents. This will just be a show of hands. How many talked to a constituent? Okay. How many talked to more than one constituent? How many talked to 5+? Very nice, guys. Keep up the good work. This is why we do these outreach events. All right. the presentation, and I wanted to quickly just segue into a report of Promotion and Outreach Committee. So as mentioned previously in the Senate, we are doing the Town Hall Initiative in McMahon. Justin booked the piano room in McMahon called. I don't know if they have a piano. But we booked an event space of about 40 people. This is our pilot program. We tried to do this in North last semester, and it really didn't come to fruition very well. We really want to get people there, and also this is my announcement saying, if you live in McMahon or you know people who live in McMahon, I really encourage you to come and talk to your constituents. Whether or not you're a senator or not, it is very important that you talk to your constituents who live in McMahon. We're going to do this kind of like a town hall meet and greet style, depending on the outcome, who comes to turn out. And furthermore, our second initiative is tentatively called USG is There. And essentially, we're going to it goes along with the branding initiative that Exec was working on earlier in the semester. We're going to start the pilot with pencils and pens, so with USG logos and like our Twitter and Facebook, etc. And training about students in need of pencils and pens, because students will ask that to you in class. And what a better way to advertise the organization to advertise it in their time of need. So we're going to start that this semester. All right, and that's it, guys.
Is there anybody who would like to speak to I know Claire had a comment, and then Rishita, or Chairperson Johnny and President Rice.
So I just wanted to point out that although, awareness is low for events, we're not a programming board, that's Google. So transparency is another thing, and people being aware of what we do for them, but a lot of our actual actions are somewhat behind closed doors, so to speak, speaking with administrators and trying to work with them on one-on-one meetings to raise issues. So we should be trying to communicate out what we get accomplished, but events, I would say that that's really important. Just keep that in mind.
Chairperson Johnny.
Just a question, the town hall meeting, is it open to everyone and or how is it?
We're going to advertise it a few ways. I mean, social media. I mean, I basically delegated this to Emma Romano, our public relations director, for advertising. We have a flyer. We're going to pin him up on the van. And yes, it's open to anybody. So I really want a lot of USG Senate representation there specifically. And if you live in McMahon, whether or not you're a senator or an exec member, that's just what it is.
As well as Chalking.
In Chalkins as well, yes. Connor and I are going to chalk to McMahon, the sidewalk. So, and for details about it, it's going to be November 17th, that's a Monday, from 8 to 10. So, any other questions?
Yeah. Chairperson Youngwood.
You should get it on that too.
What's that? All right. I'll talk.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for questions or discussion? Any further? Seeing none, we move into normal discussion. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for discussion? I know Chairperson Hines has wanted to be recognized.
I know I said this during my report, but if you have anything about EOC, please email me, because like Brock said, next process is going to be super long. So if we can get the discuss, if you want to talk to me, Facebook, me, whatever, we can get our discussion out of the way now, so that most of that can be focused on exec conversation.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for discussion? Senator Cormier.
So, in this meeting, someone mentioned the full house, and so I thought we could consider trying to do like, open house, sorry. An open house for like the students like once a month, so they could, basically an event where they come in and talk like directly to the assembly, basically exclusively to encourage interaction.
And I believe Rachel was actually responsible.
That's the goal for the spring, at least through the, I think the community health centers can attest to reach out to that constituency. be acceptable and getting to know USG, getting us to know our offices. So,
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for discussion? Seeing none, we move into announcements. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for announcements? Chairperson Lim and then Senator Castaneda.
Earlier tonight, the care packages thing was mentioned. I want to make it official and announce to everyone that December 7th, the Sunday before the week of finals, well, the first day of the week of finals, the Active Affairs Committee will be in the library at the lobby that leads out to Fairfield Way. We're going to be handing out the care packages. So we'll have candy, anything actually, and some chocolate, Jolly Ranchers, a deck of note cards, and nice pens and pencils and sticky notes and other things that you're going to need for studying. And after you pick up your care package, you can head on over to the hot chocolate bar. There will also be coffee for those who want some coffee for studying. We're going to be there in the afternoon towards the early evening when there's a lot of traffic. We're expecting about we're ready to give about 1,500 care packages. And I hope to see you guys there. And please tell your constituents about it. December 7th, I believe around 3 to 5 onwards, we'll see. But that is the date. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for announcements? Oh yeah, Senator Castaneda. Forgot.
Earlier tonight, Chairperson Kugler mentioned that External Affairs had met with former Lieutenant Governor candidate Heather Summers. And in a series of questions, it was eventually asked whether she would support mandating sexual violence education in public schools, which is an issue that has been talked about in External Affairs and USG as a whole through subcommittees and things like that, to which she pretty succinctly said yes. And it was actually one of the few things she said she would support a mandate for. This is not to encourage any political direction for the ongoing discussion in USG, but for the members involved in that discussion, those representations of support made from both sides, I think are something worth noting and bringing to the attention of all of USG members.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for announcements? Seeing none, adjourned at